How are you guys doing today?
Good.
All right. I'm going to start off with Letif, since this is the first time we've seen you this season.
All right.
Let's go ahead and just bring all the fans up to date. We kind of touched on the roster changes. Why don't you tell us kind of how that materialized and what you expect out of your new signings?
Sure. We have Germ and Positive on the team now. I mean, we expect great things, certainly. I think Germ coming in is...
Yeah, I was going to ask what specifically about him benefits your team. Like, what's his strong suit?
For Germ, I mean, he's, knows the maps, great knowledge there, good organizer, kind of a level head to some of our maybe more, out there like ideas that we would have. So it's good to have him in that, sense. And certainly a strong player, been in the league a long time. Just all around good to have him.
A lot of experience. All right. Yep. Now looking at you comps, we've kind of touched on a lot of those questions on Tuesday, so I'm going to go at a different route with this. You guys have pretty much been the dominant team in North America, unarguably, for the last year, basically, at this point. What have you guys been doing, and what are you still doing to make sure that you keep that spot? Because you guys don't look like you're slowing down at all.
It just comes down to practice. I guess our practice regimen is probably one of the most hardcore ones in North America. So as long as we're keeping up with it, I guess we'll keep doing the same thing that we've been doing.
Okay, fair enough. You don't feel too worried about burnout or fatigue or anything like that if you keep up that sort of regiment for that long?
No, everyone on the team signed up for it. They know what's expected of them, and they just, keep doing it. So I can't blame the guys for wanting to try to win. I mean, this is like one of the things that drives us to be the best is that aspect of competition and being one of the best teams in the world. So we're going to keep doing it until we achieve that.
All right, fair enough. Letif, any final questions or if any final thoughts to put out there?
Questions, no. Thoughts? I mean, I look forward to some good matches. Hopefully we can, finally reclaim that victory. I guess it's been a year, so...
September 8th.
Looking forward to that.
September 8th was the last time eClipse beat Elevate. Comps, any final thoughts?
Good luck and have fun.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys on the battlefield. Nothing too surprising there. Practice makes perfect. Just got to keep it up. But one thing I do kind of worry about is you see a lot. What happens with a lot of teams is kind of their secret gets found out over time, and then teams start to take rounds off them slowly.
Yeah, you download the team is kind of one of the terms. You take all their replays, you take all their strats, you map them out. You say, all right, what is this player's tendency? What is this player's tendency? And you identify down to as minuscule a scale you can what they're going to do. And then you come up with counter strats, right?
Yep.
It used to be easier back when we all knew a little bit less about the game, but now that there's more time that's passed and these guys are even better and better and better at this game, it becomes something that is a truly daunting task. So if you want to actually look at a team like Elevate and you want to tear them apart, it's going to take you quite some time and quite a bit of effort. It's probably going to take the entire season for someone to figure that out.
Yeah, and we kind of saw that out of Elevate a little bit in reverse. On Sand River is what came to mind. They showed that they had done all their homework. They knew all the little things that Team 6 appeared to do. Maybe they just kind of made a broad assumption about how most teams will attack a map, and they were set up to counter every little thing. We saw a Viral and that light tank get countered out within the first 30 seconds of the game. They understood this is the common spot. How do we counter it? And they were already set up for it. So what I worry about, though, with Elevate is maybe down the road, if some of these teams, especially when we have players like Rude Awakening in there, who's going to do the homework, he's going to put in the time.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll kind of figure things out. They took Elevate. It was a really close scoreline during the finals. They had some really good matches with Elevate, so definitely something to keep an eye on. However, we are ready for our first match here. Lineups are coming in. This is during the 60-second countdown as these teams pick their tanks, and no surprise, we're going to see a lot of 5As and bat chats coming out here.
It's a mirror matchup, Brox. You've got 3 bats on either side and 4 5As. So it could go anywhere. They could meet instantly, and this could be a brawl. This could be one of the slowest battles to start a season, or rather a match day. It could be anything. That's what you're looking at with a lineup like this.
So if the 5As tell me brawl, the bat chats say flex, so we'll have to see what they do. Now the 5As are rather quick, especially for heavy tanks.
You're probably going to see, like, if I was to throw out my guess, it's going to be we'll see the bats stick together in groups of 3 or maybe 2, and one guy kind of floating a little bit more, playing a kind of a scouty role. And we'll just see those 5As stick together. That's really what it's going to be. If we see anything different, well, that's where this gets, as you like to say, interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does appear that Brett and Canadian Impact are running rations on their bat chat, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on. As they are going towards the hill right now, kind of a weird split. And the 5A is pushing up the 7 line there for the side of eClipse. Elevate coming right towards the middle. We may see a brawl break out here pretty soon.
Yeah, Wallhacks is on the run. Takes, oh, nice track shot by Positive. Dark Gut Zim jumping in. There, Wallhacks is down. Positive is behind some cover. While the rest of the bat chats jump in.
And they know they have the isolation onto Brett and Impact. They're pushing forward to it. However, T1 Diabetic is being focused out. He's down to a one-shot. Brett does get taken down first, though, by Dark God Zim. And now Canadian Impact is on reload, trying to run away, while the other bat chats are reloading as well.
Yeah, and in the middle of the map, the 5As have met. You've got 4 of Eclipses versus the 4 of Elevate. Right now, Mathis is taking quite a bit of fire. A little spread onto Vetro. Germ is very low. It looks like one more shell will take him out, and that could give Elevate the lead in this brawl. Yes, Germ will go down. Now Dodoma is at risk as Vetro is going to start aggressing. This is a strong play by Elevate. They need to win the middle of the map.
Yep, and Dodoma is going to take another shot right now. He ends up getting finished off by Photo Finish, but they're going to dump over. They are going to find the isolation onto No Nick, No Skill. And it's going to be Ox that actually picks him up from downtown. They're pushing around. They are trying to take the 2-on-1 right now with Photo Finish. Will drop, should find the kill on Ox Mathis. Photo Finish, notably one of the very strong heavy tank players in North America, continuing to do a good job right now.
And this is just as close as it could be. Zim, Vetro is down. All right, now it is 1 from Elevate versus 2. Now Dark God Zim's at 379. Should be able to come on in with his 2 shells.
External has to find Dark God Zim first.
No.
His only chance is to ignore him and hope that he doesn't have the clip left to kill him and try to win the 1v1 with Drock while he reloads, but I don't know that that's going to happen.
Doesn't look like it is. Ammo Rack will finish it off. And that's going to be Eclipse picking up battle number 1.
Pretty solid stuff there, brawl. It's the second time we've seen that hill brawl happen. We saw it versus Teal Team 6 the other day, and Eclipse or Elevate not really changing anything up between the match days. And this time it ends up biting them in the rear, as you will. And it's kind of funny that that happened, because remember what we were talking about right before that match started? Doing your homework, looking at the replays, studying your opponent, and Eclipse showing that they kind of had a heads up what they were going to do. They took the fight, but they did it a little bit cleaner than Teal Team 6 did on Tuesday.
Yes, absolutely. So let's take a look at a little bit of this. This is where the bat chat started engaging, 2v2 with some support fire. After losing that first scout bat chat, I think that's where Elevate started to lose a little momentum. Their middle fight with the 5As was going and in favor of Elevate at first, it seemed, but very quickly it seemed as though the individual skill of some of the players on Eclipse was able to win.
The first thing I want to give a shout out to is BTED during the Wargaming Fantasy show beforehand. Yeah. He specifically called out Drawcab as being one of the players to watch and one of the top players. And starting off the match night strong, 93 fantasy points.
Ted knows his
stuff,
Good call
man.
There. Ted knows his stuff.
And then Dark God Zim, a player that I kind of worried about jumping into the tier 10s, also doing a pretty good job. So far, throughout his duration at Eclipse, he's been stuck down in the scout roles down at tier 8 and back in the day tier 6. So it is interesting seeing him jump up into the 10s.
And we're actually almost ready to get into the next battle. The counter has even started at this point. And that's a nice quick turnaround, as these guys are going to get a swap sides. And we're going to give it another shot. This time with, it looks like we're going to have, well, are we probably going to have the same lineups, you think? Or are we going to change this one up a bit?
We're going to see a tank on broadcast for the first time. We didn't get to see it last match day. We've seen it in a few of the other regions, but this is going to be the first time that we're going to see it in NA. So let's get in there and see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a Foch B, ladies and gentlemen.
That's 6-shot autoloader. That Foch has 2400 alpha in that clip. It can delete pretty much any tank that Eclipse has brought.
Yeah, the IS-7 is the only thing that could reasonably survive.
Well, even then, even with the most recent buff, if that Foch B rolls exactly average, he'll still die.
Yeah, but I was saying since it's an IS-7, and generally the IS-7, if you fire enough shells at it, one of them's going to
bounce. It's going to hit one of the weird angles or get absorbed by the spaced armor in the track.
Exactly, right. It's just the way the IS-7 works.
It also depends on where Photo Finish is. If he gets caught out in the open and that Foch B has him dead right, permatracks him, even then he's not going to have much of a chance.
Fair enough right there. Look at that. Shots going out towards the middle of the map from Eclipse. Elevate. Looks like they'll be heading east side. And we'll see a west side story from Eclipse. Little mid-scouting. Oh, and this. Dark God Zim's going to be heading out to the west side and passive scout. Doesn't look like he gets spotted though.
They are going straight towards that middle ridge, looking for the tanks from eClipse. They have an idea that they're there, but they haven't found him yet. External's going to knock over a tree, tip off eClipse that he is there.
Yeah, and eClipse is showing that they want to hold back a little bit. They want to kind of let Elevate come into that middle space so they can bring some STRV fire from.
Look at that beautiful Foch B and that Elevate camo. And he's sitting in a nice position right now to prevent it against any sort of counter push from eClipse in case they tried to dump over in the middle. He'll have his full clip ready to put into the fight.
I'm not the hugest fan of where he is.
I think early game.
Okay, I guess early game, but it feels like they're waiting to utilize him in a stronger position. You know what I mean? This is a holding position until he moves up somewhere in the middle of the map later after Elevate grabs a little bit more ground. Once that happens, I'd expect that's where we'll see the real Foch B. I'm kind of playing with the idea right now.
The old school meta with the Foch, we've talked about it before, and this is several years ago, before the 155 was nerfed. Its common role was behind a large push with some medium tanks. In that way, it could get in there and it had the high alpha and the clip to kind of, really soften up a strong defense, and then the mediums could get in there and kind of pick them apart and clean up the edges. So definitely something to keep an eye on, maybe see if they use it in a similar fashion.
Yeah, but now the question for me, Rox, what are they planning? What are they thinking of doing? Because right now I'm not seeing a whole lot. I'm not seeing much of any real games. It's about 7 minutes in. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what we're seeing, but it's hard to tell right now what exactly Elevate's going for, because they themselves haven't exactly decided where they're going to attack.
Well, we might see the 5As get ready to move here. They're getting really antsy, and the 5A in the backfield, Wallhacks, is actually rotating off the 1 line right now, heading over towards the 8-9 line. Maybe he'll be the tank that's going to lead the push across the 7 line there with the Bat Chats and the Foch B covering him.
Possibly. We'll have to wait and see, because right now it's just that holding pattern right in the middle.
Positive just looking towards the hill, trying to see if the Bat Chats push off. He doesn't know they're there at the moment, but he wants to be in a position to spot them when they do come down. And everyone else just doing the little dance right now.
Yeah, and eClipse is just waiting. Drawcap's just kind of patrolling the middle of the map, waiting. Because that's all eClipse has to do. Just sit and wait, see what happens. But yeah, this is it's kind of passive for a minute.
Yeah, now something to keep an eye on here is going to be that Bat Chat up in the north. He is chilling out up here. So Elevate, that is, have to make sure that they clear him out. So even if this 5A can come through here, get cap pressure, make sure this Bat Chat leaves. If they don't kill him, what'll happen is all these tanks for eClipse can come through here and they can support anyone trying to push up getting to that Bat Chat. So unless they do it very quickly, they could have to bleed a lot of HP to get him down, and they can't touch that 2-cap reasonably with that Bat Chat up there.
Yep, and now it looks like your call is going to be pretty accurate, as it looks like that Foch has moved up into about Fox 8. From that position, he's going to cover the mediums pushing forward. That's going to be down the 9-0 line on the east side of the map. And Elevate's going to be trying to take the east side and attack the 2-cap. It's really probably their strongest choice right now. Playing west side is a high toll, and this side, well, you could possibly cross over, maybe if they catch a Bat Chat. Positive is spotted, and because of that, it's going to indicate to Elevate what exactly is over here and what their options might be, as they will cross over the tracks.
Well, bleeding 2 shots of damage, not the worst toll to pay.
Nice shots by Vetro in the backfield. He's going to make Drawcap pay for getting across that open field without any real cover.
Now, the one thing to keep an eye on with that Foch B is its side armor is pretty much non-existent, and frontally, especially at close range, it will struggle. So they need to try to do what they can to keep it kind of hidden in somewhere where its lack of a turret won't get exposed.
Well, here's the thing, is look at where the Foch B is going, and look at where Positive and Nonick are. Although, look, Positive is firing, Nonick is spotted, and because of that, the Foch is able to put some support fire on. So where I thought maybe the Foch was about to walk into a difficult position,
and Brett ends up picking up Nonick, as Nonick does take down Canadian Impact first. And now Wallhacks is going to go in on Positive.
Tracks in midair.
Nice shot.
turns his attention to draw cap.
He knows that he's reloading. Wallhack's just trying to bully him around as best he can. However, Elevate are down on HP by about 3,000 right now.
Yeah, they are. Their shot coming over. Drawcap is going to use his kit just so he can get onto Brett. Gets the kill. That's important. Kill the autoloader before it gets a chance to reload. Nicely played. What's going on over there?
Positive was loaded. However, Wallhacks ended up picking it up. Vetro did take down that last tank for eClipse. And now Vetro and Wallhacks are going to be in a good position to focus out photo finish and maybe get shots on Germ as well. So this isn't over yet for Elevate. It is a 4-on-4 right now, despite being down about 1,000 HP.
Yeah, the advantages Elevate have right now are position. You've got tanks in just better support positions for each other. A lot of tanks from eClipse right now are not where they want to be exactly, and because of that, they're not going to be able to provide that support fire, crossfires that they need, and there are some weak points right now that Elevate could take advantage of. Although look at that, Dark God Zim playing a great distraction against Oxmathis and Dodoma.
I love the positioning out of T1 Diabetic right now. He's making it really hard for Elevate to decide to push one of these two sides. While Photo Finish was alone, he had that STRV in the background covering him, and he could have ended up taking down Vetro, who has to back off now, and we're going to see Dodo and Ox try to chase down Dark God Zim in that bat chat.
Ooh, this is risky right here. They're taking a lot of damage for this. That allowed the S-Tank to get into position, allowed for Germ as well to get into position. That's going to be Oxmathis down. Dark God Zim able to escape. Nicely played.
Vetro is actually going to shoot over Photo Finish and put the shot into Germ. And now they're trying to focus out to Doma as Wallhacks is trying to come to the rescue. That STRV sitting up against that building, using the cover. Dodo doing the same thing on the opposite. Just trying to slow things down and let Wallhacks get in here. Wallhacks is going to push around. He's going to try to find the shot onto that STRV. He ends up rolling a little bit low, but Dodo ends up finishing him off. And Elevate still in this 3-on-3 right now.
In the northern part of the map, 140 against Photo Finish. Vetro's trying to do what he can, but he probably won't last much longer as he will go down. Nice kill right there by Photo Finish.
Dodo did pick up Germ, and now it is 2-on-1 with Dodo, the only one that left alive. He needs to try to pick off one of these tanks before Photo can get in here, and it looks like he's going to go forward right now and just try to take down Dark God Zim, who only has one shot left in his clip. Photo Finish racing to get to the fight.
And he's going to decide, no, stay on the high ground. Notices Dark God go forward and will be able to get the ram kill. And he's not stuck on top. There we go, Photo Finish still alive.
This is not over yet. Dodo still alive on 556 HP.
And Dodoma climbs
2 minutes. Photo Finish doesn't have to do anything, and he knows it. He's running away right now. It's going to be up to Dodoma to try to have to press right now. Time. He shouldn't have time to cap anymore at this point.
We'll have to wait and see. Photo's going to decide to give ground. It's a good play. And Elevate's going to have to hunt him down.
Now remember, this 5A that Dodoma has does have a nice alpha on it, 490, so...
Also notice 100 seconds on cap means cap's impossible now.
If he got 2 high rolls, he could theoretically kill him in 2 shots, I believe, but that would be 2 very, very high rolls back-to-back, which is statistically unlikely.
Agreed here. This one should go to Photo. He is in an I-7, one of his best tanks. Dodoma's good.
Dodoma doesn't even know where he is. He doesn't know he's in that fold. He's looking around. He's looking in the south where he was last spotted. Now, he might stumble across him by mistake here in a second, or he could just drive right by him.
He probably will. It looks like it. Photo knows what's up. He understands it's one of the best positions to be in. You can reasonably cover the cap in case there's any reason to defend it, but you're also far out of the way, and it's easier to get to. So Dodo doesn't quite guess right. Doesn't have time to even get the shells out at this point. And that should mean battle number 1 or 2. And 18 seconds. You're waiting with the rest of us, ladies and gentlemen. Just to see. That's right. Photo is still sitting in his little pit. It's probably one of the most frustrating ways to lose when you're Elevate right now, because you know it's over. You know you can't find him. You're hoping, but you
want to, you know, I don't even know what to say right now about Elevate. I did a little bit. I guess it's the caster curse is the common phrase there, talking about what they need to do to stay on top and how they stay there. And they're starting off down 2-0. And looking at the damage here, wall hacks.
If Elevate comes back with a 5-0, you're fine.
Yeah, and overall, I like what Elevate was going for, trying to find the isolations. However, that low roll right there onto T1 Diabetic, wall hacks only hit for 440. The alpha on that gun's a 490, so by almost 50 HP it low rolled. But look at wall hacks putting up 4,500 damage. I talked last match day about how he can be one of those players that randomly spikes and has very good games, and this was definitely one of them, despite being lost. And then Vetro doing what Vetro does best, which is play object 140s or just medium tanks in general.
Go Vetro.
Putting up some very consistent damage numbers so far tonight.
Yeah. Well, and you can see eClipse just, they were the more consistent ones. Dark God Zim Photo, T1 Diabetic, Drawcap, and Positive, right? Yep. That's where it wins. Because everyone else just wasn't able to keep up. That's the problem. You can see the accuracy right there. Oxmathis and External weren't able to deal nearly the damage they were probably hoping to. I know they were firing a lot of shells off, just what appeared to be randomly in some ways at the beginning, but I think they were having trouble getting shots on targets. That was really their struggle. And the thing is, when you see Oxmathis not getting that great of a performance, you know there's something wrong. Like, yeah. It's not huge, but there was something off about that performance for Elevate, because normally you expect Oxmathis to put up one of the top as far as damage.
Yeah, well, you also have to remember that Elevate has every single one of the players is pretty much what you'd call a star player in their own ways. Wallhack's one of the best colors on the NA server. Then you have External, great batch chat player. Vetro can play pretty much anything. Dodoma is a great player, especially a tank destroyer player. So definitely something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Now we're actually going to go into Mines. eClipse defending, Elevate attacking. And looking at the lineups, Rox, what are your thoughts?
This is a very ugly lineup from eClipse. A 113, a Mouse, a PZ7, a Type 5, a Batchat, an STRV, and an E4. This feels like one of those calls where it's just like, all right, guys, what do you want to play right now? Ready up something. Now, I have a feeling that we're going to see a certain position out of each of these tanks where it's going to make sense. However, Elevate coming in with 2 Mice, 2 5As, and 3 Batchats. Now, the PZ7 we saw used at that H4 rock the other day. I expect to see him sitting right there very quickly. The 113 probably working towards the hill or the depression right before it at G3, which looks like where he's heading right now. Type 5 sitting either underneath the hill or in base in the E4, and Mouse also probably sitting in base at that J7 corner.
This makes sense. See, 113, right to the saddle. Well, at least that's what I call it. Gulf 4, that weird position where you can kind of look west but also look towards the hill, and you have to kind of play the little mound to keep yourself safe. Photos going into that opening position, strong for 113. And there we go, PZ7 by Drawcap.
He was looking for the early spots, didn't find any, and he chose to leave before he got put in an awkward situation. That spot that you were just talking about, not a spot you want to be in late game because of the one-line pressure and the shots from the hill. However, I could see it working simply because of how many guns eClipse have focused on that one line. If you look at it, the E4 has shots. If he turns around, he can shoot that one line cross. The Sturv, the Batchat, the PZ7, and even the Type 5. So they could, in theory, have him back off and sit there and just stare towards the one line and have his back covered from the hill and have enough fire support to keep him alive in that position. Still not an ideal position, but it could work.
All right.
Island and you don't have to cross some combo.
We're gonna go ahead and listen in,
or push 9-0, or push 9-0. Yeah.
113 might spot me.
Push 9-0. Yeah.
Do you want me trying that?
They do that.
Wally?
Me and Photo have to like pick the side to.
They're gonna take hill. We have to protect hill.
We just have to be careful.
I'm gonna pull back because we have
a lot of.
We don't know where the mouse are.
Just drive up the hill.
I don't really want to poke out. We're not just drive someone over here much.
I'm dropping.
I'm over here on one line.
I'm not getting careful. There's a bad.
Do we have to destroy anything in there?
I would
Get
get
a mouse. Stodo.
What's wrong?
Nothing.
I just got lit right
Nothing's
here.
on the one line.
Something.
I'm over here, Wally.
I think they have
T1, you're safe from.
Is anything on one line?
It doesn't look
no, but I'm
Do you have lit Petro?
I'm just making sure I wasn't gonna get lit if I went.
We're gonna wait.
They could have. I think a Batchat boosted.
Yeah, just making sure I wasn't gonna.
Nothing's on the island. Why
It's
don't
probably impact.
we just
I
cross
assume
to this?
that's what they were planning.
That's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
I can.
Note that Wally's in one of the batches. Wally doesn't boost like well.
So that means both the heavies go there?
Probably not him.
Oh no, the mouse is
Probably
probably
impact because impact didn't go hill at the beginning. So
and
what
I'm
was he
crossing
doing?
behind you. I might not have to cross behind you, actually. Are we sure the bat isn't there?
I mean, 90% sure. There's a 10% maybe.
All right, comms are sounding a little hectic there, nice and loud. So we decided to bring you back to something a little bit more pleasant.
And it looks like eClipse just holding firm right now. Pretty solid position. PZ7 right in the spot where we thought he would be. Just keeping an eye
now
on that one line.
This mouse is a big tell to me, Rox. I think we should probably talk a little bit about that. Mouse on the one line.
Tornado energy.
Exactly. Like we've seen strats like this before, and they usually involve a mouse across the open. In what is normally considered something.
Well, the mouse,
insane.
The mice doing what mice do best. Hey, I'm a big tank with lots of armor. Shoot me, shoot me, shoot me.
I'm a barn with tracks.
More or less, yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. Although he's taking way more damage than Tornado Rox did trying to get into this position.
Well, because if you look at how this is set up, eClipse have 5 guns staring at this lane right now. So the reason it worked for Tornado Rox is because of how the defense was set up. They weren't ready to punish a mouse making this exact pass.
Nice shot. External tracks in the open. That might actually mean he takes another. No, he's going to get safely to cover. And that's going to be 3 tanks, Rox. 3 tanks secure into the southwest with a mouse actually going to be able to make it across. Yes, he will.
He'll get across. He paid a pretty decent toll, but you do have to remember that the mouse has 3,000 HP, and that's part of the reason you bring it is to...
He now has equivalent health to a Bat Chat that started fresh.
Yep, and he has the consistent fire, which the Bat Chat doesn't, and he has the armor, which the Bat Chat doesn't. So definitely something he can leverage.
Yeah. It's, just putting it in perspective, it's like, yeah, you paid the toll in a mouse, but now you're just medium tank health. It's amazing. Although that S-Tank from T1 Diabetic, that's a lot of damage he's taken. So actually, at the end of this, Elevate's doing amazingly. Yep. They've got a weak point that they can pressure, and from there they can actually take apart the rest of Eclipse's positions.
And this PZ7 showing why it's such a difficult tank to kill. So many tanks, the lower plate is the weak spot where you want to shoot. And while it is a weak spot on that tank, weak is a relative term to the rest of the armor, and it is still giving External a lot of trouble, even with the heat shells that 5A has.
I'm almost wondering if, I'm like, Drawgap, are you even trying hard enough to angle? Because
External does pick up the kill, though, so that is a takedown. Very methodical out of Elevate. They're up by about 2,000 HP for the first time tonight.
Yeah, if you pay attention to on screen right now, External was showing you the position to take out that weird little spot that we saw the PZ7 that he kind of put himself in. There's just about 2 angles that reasonably work for countering or taking out. And one more shell from External might take down positive, but it's going to go over his head. There it goes. All right, yeah, slowly but surely Elevate should be picking apart Eclipse's position. You see the focus going on to Exo.
Germ being focused out right now. It almost should put a shot into him in just a second, and Wallhacks and Impact are going to push around in Bat Chats and try to focus out Dark God Zim, who appears to be reloading. They're going to chase him down like sharks that smell blood in the water.
Oh, and look at that. Photo finish is all the way on the east side of the map and didn't take much damage until just now.
And it looks like Elevate just woke up. Went, hey guys, we're here now. Sorry about the first map, but we are ready to go.
They just wanted to make your prediction correct.
Give them the 2 rounds so my 5-2 scoreline can be correct.
Yeah, and then just watch me cry, because I'm going to be very, very wrong. You see, that's their plan.
I'll take your word for it.
I'll take your word for it. Okay.
We'll have to see. I mean, the defense there, what I kind of feel happened there was Eclipse may have seen, a strat that someone else had been running and maybe not fully understood all the ins and the outs of it, because that PZ7 got isolated very early, or maybe it was just that Wallhacks and Elevate did their homework.
No, I think Elevate played a strong strat. They put the mouse across the open. They pushed through. Members of Eclipse took damage where they didn't need to. Because look at where we are in the replay right now. Look at where T1 Diabetic's health is. He's in a tank destroyer, and he's so low at that point in the game that that's a pressure point. That's something you can push and it'll just kind of fall over. And where exactly T1 was crucial to holding the west side of the map. So I think if we were to kind of, looking back,
knocked over the first domino.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, that domino was already ready to go instantly. Like he was already primed to be overtaken seconds after that west side push.
Yep, and Ox doing 4,200 damage and 3 kills. Very strong showing there. And everything, nothing else too surprising. So it looks like Germ only able to get off a couple shots there in that Type 5. Now we do have the updated map picks. Ones we showed earlier were actually incorrect. Our apologies for that one. But the correct map picks are coming in here. Himmelsdorf and Nuremberg banned.
Yep.
First picks, we know the first one was Proc and the second one was Mines. Then the next two bans were going to be Ghost Town and Cliff.
Yep.
Followed up by Murovanka and Sand River. So we will see Sand River tonight, which I do kind of like that. We'll have to see what else Elevate has prepared. Yep. Murovanka, map that Eclipse have always been pretty strong on as well.
Yeah, I feel like both teams have had enough of a presence on that map that, just like everything else, it comes very much down to the strats that they pick.
Well, I do remember the last time they played during the regular season, one of the matches was decided on Murovanka. It came down to a one-shot tank being blocked, and it ended up being Elevate that actually drew out the clock with the, as time expired. So it was a very, very close game to decide that series. So
now that you mention it, actually, I'm going to have to look back, but I do remember a number of matches battles going to time between Elevate and Eclipse.
Yeah, very, very slow, methodical mind games. However, we move on to battle number 4. Tank lineups coming in, an IS-7, a Mouse, a 5A, 2 Batchats, a TVP, and a T100. Elevate, Type 5, 2 5As, a Batchat, 2 E4s, and a T100 of their own.
Okay. A little scouty on this time. Not exactly sure if Why a T100 over so many other choices, though?
Low profile, and if Canadian Impact does what Dark Ninja did the other day, he is going to go chill out over at that rock.
Well, yes, of course that. I guess my question still about the T100 is, on a map like Mines, with scouts, I tend to like them on maps like Proc, Murovanka, Sand River, maybe. But on a map like Mines, oh, okay. Never mind. I take everything back because they're actually employing it in a way that I didn't immediately predict. So this is a fun route. Canadian Impact is showing us if you just rush very early on, you can get into a decent position. From here, Canadian isn't actually going to be able to use camo very effectively. It's going to be about proximity. If he gets close enough to the enemy.
Getting caught out. He's down to 272. And Canadian Impact picks up the kill.
Nicely done. Nicely done. That's a strong pickup. You've just taken out one of the most mobile tanks of your opponent's team. Yeah, it wasn't the T100, but I think that's a little bit more valuable in some senses because the damage potential. Now, if you can get Canadian out of this position, or you can maybe shift him back a little bit, that's going to be a strong play, because otherwise Eclipse may decide to counter and just put something in the right angles here and there,
and
counter out Canadian Impact. But
Wallhack's got a nice shot there on Dark God Zim as he tried to cross to get over here to the one line, and so now they know that T100 is over here.
Yeah, pay the toll. So this is going in the way of Elevate right now. This is nice. This is very good for them. They're going to be comfortable, and they're going to sit Canadian. Look at where he is now. Passive in a bush. Able to move up. From here, he's going to be able to spot everything that kind of comes up and over the lip in front of him. Although it looks like he's going to back out. What else is going on? Has Eclipse moved anything else at a noticeable distance?
No, Eclipse are kind of in an awkward position right now where it's kind of hard for them to really make a decisive play, and Elevate are running this defense very, very well right now.
Yeah, I think that opening move probably set them back. We'll see. Although, there we go. Canadians decided to get out. Don't want to stick around for too long and get your position countered.
Yeah, so he's going to leave. It looks like he's going to come up towards the backfield, maybe just be a passive scout in the backfield or rotate over towards the 8-9 line.
It's also the safest way out.
Yeah, we are going to see the 5A come over into this area. Here's my guess. Mouse also going to come around, it looks like. No, he's going to close with the hill. I think it's more likely happen.
That's Eclipse reading a west side play. They're probably assuming that a lot of Elevate tanks are west side and that they should possibly consider a surprise on the east.
Yeah, so now that they're down that Batchat, what it looks like they're trying to do is stack up towards the 7-8-9 line, try to open up play through here, try to find some sort of isolation while they have guns on the hill that can support. However, this should be pretty easily countered by Elevate, especially since they still have all 7 tanks alive, and Canadian Impact over on that one line can get in behind and wreak havoc if he wants to.
Yeah, it's going to be crucial for Eclipse to get an opening kill. If they get 1 or 2 solid kills quickly, that could be their way in. But if they can't do that, and the guys from Elevate stay alive long enough, That'll give time for the support guns.
They really have to find an isolation, and the only obvious ones right now are on the Type 5 and the E4. But the problem is all the positions that Elevate are in positions where they can very quickly turn and have their guns to support. That E4 sitting down at K4, it looks like, along with the Batchat. Those could easily support the E4 at J8 just by turning real quickly, maybe moving a few feet up in. Get a little bit more elevation is what I'm looking for, sorry.
Higher ground.
Yeah, higher ground. They should have some shots. And that Type 5, if they get into the buildings at G8 is something we've seen a lot. We saw it earlier on the EU region, trying to get into those buildings, maybe find the isolation on the Type 5 along with a tank over the middle. Maybe the IS-7 could be used in that role, get behind the rock at a F4. Try to find, a pincer onto that Type 5, give them nowhere to go. But
yeah, but that'll take a minute or two.
It'll take too long. They're down a tank. They're going to bleed a lot of HP to make that happen, and since they bled that Batchat so early, I don't know that they can really pull that off.
On top of that, they've taken damage and the enemy hasn't. Everything's untouched on Elevate side. So it's going to be a bold play. Right now we see EXO moving up. I think this is the big tell. At this point, EXO can't really back up too much, and eClipse is going to be dedicated to any fight they find.
It'll be interesting to see at what point he gets spotted coming around this hill, because you have to imagine the tank store sitting at J7 should have eyes on him right now.
But there's the...
and there we go.
There we go. There's a few trees that kind
of block the camo and make it hard to spot him, yeah.
They kind of set an invisible wall.
It is a mouse, though. Not that is a spawn. He needs another E4 shell. EXO just bleeding HP left and right.
And he just keeps going. EXO can't stop. IS-7 on the other side hasn't quite moved up yet, and EXO was almost down. One more shell will finish him off.
And Elevate just showed how to delete a mouse in less than 20 seconds as he's going to go down to external.
There we go. Now we've got a Batchat moving in. That's going to be Drawcat. And, well, he takes most of his hit points right off the bat. Brett's there to help him out. And there we go. There's another one down.
The Doma showed up with his boomstick and said, "Not today, Drock." 750 alpha. Apparently he didn't learn his lesson after watching EXO take some HP. Meanwhile, T1 Diabetic's going to come over and put a clip into Wallhacks. However, he's not going to have enough in his clip to finish him off, and Wallhacks should be fine. Maybe even looking for a return shot on to T1 Diabetic, as Anime Lord Brett does pick up Germ.
There we go. Photos down. T1's left alone. And Zim, well, he's here. He's trying to take on Canadian, but it's not going so hot.
So far, eClipse and Elevate appear to be trading maps. Prokhorovka did go to eClipse very, very solidly, but Mine still showing that it is an absolute fortress for Elevate, as eClipse didn't really get close to breaking into this round. Pretty much read it every step of the way. The Batchat on the one line was countered out fantastically, and this defense, once again, flawless for Elevate as they tie up the series 2-2.
Yeah, that was decisive.
Yeah, let's clean swipe. Just all 7 still alive for Elevate.
They know what they're doing. eClipse didn't have a chance. They just ran straight in.
Yeah, they tried, and poor EXO didn't even. I mean, he fired 4 times, but a lot of that was blind fire early on. Didn't really get any connections. So it's not necessarily his fault he didn't hit anything, but at the same time, like, he wasn't able to do any damage, and he bled all 3,000 HP. Now, whether that was the design of the strat is another thing to think about. But
that is a result of many things. That is a result of a strategy starting to fall apart.
Going catastrophically wrong?
Yeah.
Not just fall apart?
You got countered early on. You got one of your tier 10s just knocked out instantly. And on top of it, it wasn't your T100 LT that you weren't expecting to live that long if something like that happens, right? Lose the T100 LT, maybe you're okay. Maybe you can come back. You've got damage, right? But you lost a Batchat. And because of that, you didn't have the burst fire.
Didn't have the burst. You didn't have the flexibility. You know, remember the Batchat? They only brought 2 of them, so that was some flexibility that they were counting on. As Brett does 3,000 damage, almost 2 kills, 90 fantasy points. Canadian Impact having a very strong showing in that T100. Another 2,500 and 100 fantasy points. Dodo, 40 fantasy points. Ox only getting 1,500 that game, 30 fantasy points. Wallhacks on the second page here, another 30. Nothing too surprising down there. And poor EXO with the goose egg along with positive. both of whom got countered out basically just by playing into the strat of Elevate. They were set up there. They showed why those E4s work so well. High penetration, very accurate, high alpha. So when a tank like a mouse comes rolling at you, you can 1, pen the turret consistently, and 2, you're going to hit it for 750 alpha, which when the mouse has 3000 HP, it kind of makes it less of a problem to deal with.
Yeah, and especially with the way you're going about it. If you're going to get every tank of the enemy thrown at you at once, you need to remove as many guns as quickly as possible. The problem you run into sometimes is you go a little auto-loader heavy, and then you run out of momentum. But as long as you can keep just smashing one tank at a time in rather rapid succession, you can usually hold off just about any attack.
Vetro breaking out one of my all-time favorite tanks, the FV215B. The rest of Elevate bringing 2 5As and 4 Batchats, eClipse, a mouse, 2 5As, 2 Batchats, TVP, and a T100 LT. So breaking out the scout tank, it is going to be eClipse on offense. T100 can be used in a number of roles, including on cap over the 2 cap. High camo value can kind of sit there passively unspotted. Be very hard to kill, not to mention it's a very small target, so it is going to be rather hard to blind fire, even as good as Elevate are at it.
Yeah, what I like about it is the profile on this map, because there's positions off into the southeast, you know what I'm talking about, where you'll play a scout. And, okay, actually, first things first, Batchat's grouping up in the west, but at the same time, one mouse is going all the way to the west, and everything else from eClipse is east side. And there we go, Exo taking fire, Germ taking fire, External's taking a little bit of damage as well. Okay, a little back and forth from both
And look
teams.
at this push coming out from Elevate. They're clearing. They're going to go try to kill that mouse right now. And Drock is in trouble.
That he is. 3-on-1. This is not a good place to be for the mouse. But the nice part here is that there's a lot of ammo that's about to be wasted into Drock.
Yep. Now that Drock has gone down, and it's actually going to go down at the expense of Dodoma. But now, here's the thing to watch, is the counter push from eClipse. Can they capitalize on these tanks from Elevate being out of ammo as they run away and reload right now? Consistent fire tanks like the 5A closing as fast as they can. TVP of T1 Diabetic also trying to close. They are going to get out of here and get just around that corner.
And here's the problem. Look at this. Oxmathis and External moved up behind this counterattack by eClipse to try and bring in some support. But what they might have done is they might have gone too deep. It's possible that some of those eClipse tanks might turn around, jump onto the WZ-5As, and get the kills. If they don't, I think that's a wasted opportunity right now, especially because all those Batchets are on reload.
I love this by wall hacks. I love this strat. Calculated is the easiest way I can say it. They pushed the north, they took out that mouse, and what they knew that eClipse would go for it, hook, line, and sinker. They knew that they would try to pressure them when those Batchats got reloaded, and the timing was just perfect with those 5As coming in, and now they're really dictating the pace to eClipse, forcing them exactly where they want to be.
And now look at this, Exo moving in on Canadian with his little scout buddy to back him up, but he's taking a lot of damage. Canadian gets the kill. Nicely played. And with that, Dark God Zim's going to start moving in, but is he actually going to go down to this? That's the big question. Does Canadian have a shell? He's on reload, isn't he?
Yeah,
and I don't think Zim knows. Zim doesn't know.
They're playing mind games now. Canadian Impact can take a couple of shells. And the mind game being played perfectly by Canadian Impact. This is something that a lot of auto players, just in general, not just in League, but just in the game of World of Tanks, they make this mistake where they posture in a way that says, hey, I'm reloading, whether it's by turning their tank and running away or whatnot, or just staring at your opponent in the open. And he's kind of playing that edge, like, I don't want to peek you right now until I'm loaded, and then just takes him down 30 seconds later once he has a fresh clip.
And while we've been watching this little 1v1 go on, Elevate has been playing just little 1v1 games everywhere, and they're coming out way ahead. You may have noticed already by the damage. We're going to be following Vetros. He's actually going up the middle of this formation. He's decided, you know what? There's not enough damage left that I care. So he just runs forward, gets a kill.
And this is a highly underrated fact, that 215B that he's bringing in right now. It has 2,500 HP. So especially late game, it can just use its HP to bully, even if the armor isn't going to bounce a lot of shots. It's 2,400 HP or 2,500 HP. It's a lot to chew through.
Yeah, the DPM along with that, you can just decide to run in, and you're going to keep up enough once there's there's only a few tanks left. Yeah.
215B is just a laser cannon of a tank, and it can, especially late game, it can just be such a fantastic tank to close out a game, and that's going to be Elevate putting themselves back on top 3-2. 2 more rounds to walk away with a win and make this a 5th win in a row over eClipse.
I think we can both agree, though. At the end of this was the reaction from Elevate in this battle. Like, that was all it was. The opening strat had a little bit of something cheeky going on with the bat chats. You saw it. But I think we can both agree that the decision to go all the way around to the north and just jump on a mouse was the right one.
I think it was a solid read from Wallhex, understanding this mouse is up here. The others probably aren't in a position to support, not quickly. They're probably off over on the 8-9 line. And even as eClipse kind of responded to it, he ended up taking 3 bat chats, having to dump all their clip into him to kill him, and then they drove away. But the problem was that was exactly what Elevate wanted. They wanted them to chase, and they had eClipse make the knee-jerk reaction of coming back to try to counter-push instead of just giving up and assuming that the mouse was dead. You always want to try to trade something out. When you're going to lose a tank, you want to try to, take a tank out in return, or multiple tanks, and they were trying to get a little bit more greedy. They did trade to Doma, so it was a 1-for-1 trade.
But whatever at that point.
Yeah, at that point, I mean, you kind of have to weigh things, whether it's going to be, is just taking 1 batch out enough, or should we chase? eClipse chose to chase and ended up costing them. So definitely, something to keep an eye on in the future.
I think the only criticism about that chasing that eClipse did is I think they should have done it slightly. They could have read the battlefield a little bit differently and made a different decision, which is kill the heavies.
Yep.
I think they could have gotten away with killing Ox and Exo.
Impact and T1 Diabetic both having very strong showings, 3K plus. On the second page, Positive just having another rough night so far. Not really able to get into the fight. Dark God Zim also losing that 1v1 early. That 1v1 by Canadian Impact, as I was talking about autoloaders, that was played pretty much perfectly. We do have a timeout coming in here for, let's see here, who was that? eClipse. Yeah, just timeout just ended, so we'll be another minute before the battle gets underway. But, I didn't want to touch on that again. That 1v1 I was talking about, I didn't get finished. Posturing in an autoloader is very important, especially when you're out. If you know that if your opponent hasn't had a chance to count shells, so say you fire 2 in a different battle and then you come in and you only have 3, your opponent doesn't know that. They don't know whether or not you've reloaded or whatnot. So kind of posturing, saying, hey, I still have shells, can tie up a tank, and he did that to Dark God Zim. The problem is that you can't, if you peek too long and you let him know, hey, I'm not loaded. I could have taken the shot, but I didn't. So he didn't ever put himself in that position. He kind of played chicken, and it kind of made Dark God Zim keep guessing for just long enough for him to reload.
Yeah, because probably to those guys, it looked like he might have had a shell, or he's trying to bait me so someone else can get a shot, right? Yep. Because if you're looking at that position, you're looking at 2 possibilities. He either has shells, or he's got a battle buddy waiting for me to come around the corner.
Yep.
And the second one, the latter of those options, is even scarier than if he has shells, because at least he's fired a few times.
It's a very subtle thing, but it was just done so beautifully by Impact. I just, I know I keep going on about it.
No, I see where you're coming from, dude. It was a nice play. Yeah. It's hard to kind of appreciate some of those really brilliant plays when they happen, because they always look so smooth and so just easy. Everything comes very naturally when you've figured that out.
And we are on to battle number 6 now, as eClipse trail for the first time tonight. 2 5As, 3 bat chats, an M48 Patton, and a T100 coming out for eClipse. Elevate an IS-7, a 5A, 4 bat chats, and an STRV.
All right. So
what does this lineup out of eClipse say to you? They are defending right now.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking about, was you're defending, but you're going to bring a Patton and a T100. I guess the Patton, after its recent buff, is good enough, but I actually still favor the TVP.
Well, so the 2 things the Patton brings. One, underrated value of it, or factor of it, as you will.
It's got great view range. Camo, the height of the turret actually is a factor.
Yeah, no longer has the Empire State Hatch, for example. And with the turret buff, it could work some of these ridges pretty well. So the combination of the 2 make it suitable for a map like this.
I'm not saying it's the worst choice. I'm simply kind of entertaining.
Questioning it.
Yeah, you see where. Yeah. Is this really the best choice? I'm not saying it can't perform, because you and I both know Patton players who are phenomenal.
Yep.
And have always made us go, how do you even play that tank that well? I don't know.
Well, there have been games even before the buffs. Vetro has put up some insane numbers, 10,000 plus damage in it. I've seen
it didn't feel like when he played it in the past, though, that it was the tank that really helped him win. It felt like it was just Vetro being Vetro, and he just happened to be in a Patton.
Fair enough. And it always has had very high shell velocity as well. It's been able to, just snap shots off without aiming too much, and the shell velocity has been able to carry it. So we'll keep an eye on that as the battle goes on. Sturv over on the one line, another gun with very high shell velocity, STRV, which Vetro is actually playing right now. So we'll have to see what he can do over there. And instead of just one mouse in the north for Elevate, they have an I-7 and a 5A just chilling out here in case eClipse decide to try to push. However, it looks like they are fine just staying relatively passive. T100 over in the bush. That is another thing to kind of look at, is the passive scout positions. This is a different one.
Yeah, so you knock over a few trees, that helps kind of create a perimeter for you. And well, the problem with this, the spot Dark God Zim is in right now, is notice there's some elevation around him. He can't exactly see tanks approaching him from the immediate east.
Yeah, but the thing is here is the mind game. This map has been played long enough that both these teams know every single bush that's been used. And so it's picking one that they can utilize to their advantage at that right time. So I understand where you're coming from as far as the approach angles, but sometimes it's more important to kind of trade things up, make sure you don't die, and kind of keep some presence.
Yeah.
Batchat's grouping up in the forest on the 9 line right now.
Yeah, I think this will be the main push. This is just Elevate trying to make sure there isn't a trap down here. They're sending enough tanks to the point where they can, if they run into anything, they can deal with it.
Yeah, they're going to have the 5A go out in front, so if it is a trap, it's a heavy tank that's going to take the beating and not, say, a soft Batchat.
That'll explode damage quicker, yeah. And, well, they're about to find out that there is no trap. Everything is safe. Everything is fine. Don't worry. But, that'll mean 7 minutes left.
No Admiral Akbar memes today.
Nope. No traps. And the T100 shouldn't see them either, so they should be able to approach and get actually...
Until they try to peek up at K6.
Yeah, but that's awesome. I would love to be able to do that every match, right? Get all the way over to the southeast, like, so that you're even beyond your opponent's cap.
One thing I do want to point out here, just sorry to change the subject real quick, is apparently old habits die hard. Because eClipse were the ones that pioneered double passive tank originally. They'd use Tigers and someone else to get passive in the field, so even if they find the light tank, they're still second tank in position. And look at T1 Diabetic sitting in the passive spot in the Batchat at H4.
Yeah,
just trying to confuse Elevate. And the thing is Elevate are good enough that I think they'll understand or be able to figure it out relatively quickly.
The problem with that is you have to just figure it out. Do you see enough of your opponent's tanks? Does it make sense for them to have 2 scouts? Yeah, I guess so. So, yeah, you can assume that, or you just, do you have enough time to even deal with it? There's a billion questions that come up about that, but it's, at this point, Elevate's still trying to just figure out where the weak point is.
Yeah, but sometimes as the defense, it's also, you just talked about trying to find it. You know, how do you go about just, you know, if you give up on trying to cap, say you just want to kill, there is no good way to counter out those light tanks because of where the other guns are sitting for eClipse. If you send, say, a light tank out there to just drive out in the open through the bushes to try to find them, there are 5 other guns ready to punish them. So it's kind of that trade. Is it worth to give up my HP to go get these passive tanks out of the way?
Not really. At this point, I don't know if Elevate's going to be able to win this one. I mean, it's a time thing, and it'll have to come down to a brawl, right?
Yeah, just about the 5-minute mark, they have to try to get in position to deal with one. And right now, I have to favor eClipse. Now, I'm not a big fan of passive defenses in general. However, with the map of Murovanka, with as many bushes as it is, and the setup they're running, they get to hide a majority of their tanks. So it's going to be very hard for Elevate to piece together exactly where they're all sitting.
And we're looking at the POV anime Lord Brett, although we're going to switch over. Vetro taking a shot at Germ. Ox Mathis squaring off against Positive. And, well, we'll just have to wait and see who deals damage to. Dodo's going to take a shot.
I often preach about not liking passive defenses because they're easy to figure out. But the difference between this and, say, Cliff. Cliff is a very small map. It's easy to scout out your opponents and figure out where each of their tanks are sitting, whether it's by them firing and doing damage or being able to get spots on them. And with this, the only way that Elevate are going to figure out where some of these tanks are, especially the ones on the 1 line, is by them firing or pushing forward and leaving their position and being spotted that way. Otherwise, they can sit back there in that forest with relative immunity for a while. So it can work, as cap pressure has started for Elevate.
There we go. Canadian Impact, surfing up in the middle. I don't think this ends up working. I really don't. Like, you know what I mean? Just, this looks like something that eClipse should be able to counter out.
And a couple of heavy tanks pushing up onto the Cap 4 eClipse. Vetro does get a shot in, but he has to back off before he takes some return fire. Nox does take another 377, does get a return shot. Vetro's going to be able to start firing shots, puts one into Exo. Ox and the Batchat's trying to get in here, trying to counter out. Batchat up positive. He is down to a one-shot, and he is having one tough night tonight, whether it's the positions he's playing or individual misplay, but he is on the struggle bus right now.
Yeah, eClipse did not do very well in that fight. They took a lot of damage, they hesitated, they backed up, they took more damage, and now they're trying to square off against Elevate, but Elevate seems to have just a little bit of an edge, just enough to where they should be able to come out ahead, because there goes Positive. That's one gun down, won't be reloading for the next 3 minutes and firing at anyone. T100 LT is free and safe in the south to actually go around and flank. You'll notice that. And that actually might be the Batchats going around and flanking from the south. Look at T1 right now. He's going to be moving further and further south, and with photo finish in the back to cover, I think he's going to be able to pick up enough resets.
Yeah, the heavies need to stop bleeding though, or Elevate's just going to dump onto him. That's another shot that Exo just lost. And Dark God Zim's going to get him behind. He needs to try to get his gun into this fight quickly, maybe get some damage onto the Batchats.
And don't forget the Cap, 20 seconds left. We need to see a reset. Exo and Germ are going to move around. Photo gets out, gets a reset. Canadian Impact is now the tank to hit.
Vetro already up to almost 3,000 damage this game.
Canadian peeks out, Germ gets the kill. Because of that, well, that's going to stop the Cap. Take a little pressure off for
T1 Diabetic finds External, Dodo finds Germ, trades 1 for 1. However, only 3 tanks left alive for eClipse right now, one of them being T1 Diabetic, who is a one-shot. Dark God Zim still is in the backfield. Now, one thing to look at is the clock. It's 2 minutes now, and they do have a full health Patton along with Photo Finish, who has a lot of HP still in that Patton. So if they can slow this down for, say another minute, make it hard to cap, maybe, just maybe Dark God Zim can play some spotting games and really slow this game down for him.
No, this is done probably. Dark God Zim should be able to live, right? Minute and 30 seconds left. Patton just has to stay alive.
He has to find a reset or two is the biggest thing. Him or Photo. They need to find a reset or two to make this even a possibility of drawing it out. Vetro's going to come over here. He's going to set up on the side of Photo Finish as Wallhacks is going to close with that Batchat. He's going to find the kill shot right now, and now it is all down to Dark God Zim. Needs to have one heck of a game right now to turn this around. 1 minute left. They can cap. There was only one on cap, so they could, in theory, put 2 more on there, speed it up. However, if Dark God Zim can get, I think, 1 reset, he could do it.
Yep, he just has to get in close enough. He's got the view, but
5 seconds. He needs to find the shot. Brett is the only one that he has it. He snaps the shot off, misses. 4 seconds, and that will be a win for Elevate, extending their lead to 4-2. And we are going to go on to Sand River to decide the series.
Well, your prediction is becoming true.
Yeah, a little bit of luck there, but I feared for a second that I was going to be like completely wrong the way that eClipse started the series off. Those games on Proc, it really looked like Elevate were caught sleeping a little bit. Maybe they showed too much of their hand on Tuesday versus Teal Team 6, and eClipse kind of countered it.
I felt like eClipse just did a good job the first 2 battles, and I agree that it was just kind of a little bit off-putting because of how, I guess, just they were good wins, right? They weren't they weren't flukes. It felt like.
No, they were solid, decisive wins.
But Mines was decisive. Elevate
complete flip though, and who was being decisive.
Yeah, they had control. Eclipse didn't really feel like they had anything on that. And then Murro, well, Murro should have been Eclipse's that last battle, but that's from a standpoint of looking at like the first
position.
5 minutes.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes they were in a strong position, but it was that first trade on cap with Ox where Vetro was set up, the Batchats were set up, and they really punished them for overextending to get that reset. And from that point on, right here, well, right before this actually, it was where it kind of flipped around. The HP was in favor of Elevate pretty heavily at that point, and that they pretty much ignored the Sturv in the backfield and they played into it the whole time. And he ended up doing over 3,000 damage that game. So, Vetro was able to really be a force in that game just from that one spot. Even though he was isolated, he was far enough away that no one could really close with him, and that STRV, laser accurate, high DPM, and he really made it work in that position. And as you see here, 3,500 damage, 80 fantasy points, really solid stuff Positive kind of redeeming himself for some of the earlier games. 2,800 damage, 68 fantasy points. Dark God Zim having a decent game in the light tank, but at the end of the day, they just bled so much HP trying to get those resets that it didn't really matter.
There's only so much you can do.
Yep. And overall, though, I do have to like the play there out of Elevate. Very, very decisive, calculated. I think it was Brett in the 5A was a little bit isolated in the south. That could have worked against them. However, they made it work for him in the long run, got him into the fight quickly enough.
Elevate's got it figured out. They can improvise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. They improvise very well. That's something this team has always done well.
And looking at the lineups, Rocks, we've got 3 Bat Chats, some 5As, and I7, 113 for the side of eClipse. Side of Elevate, just a bunch of 5As, 140, and some Bat Chats. What do you think?
I think if there was a way for eClipse to tie this up, this would be the way on a map that no one really has a lot of experience on. Noble did used to play this a lot back in the day during the first season of Tier 10. However, that was with Germ calling. So, you know, look at it. Your roles are kind of flipped. He's on the other team. We'll have to see what they can do. And this is going to be Elevate running the same strat they ran the other day. 4 or 5 A's pushing right up the middle. And this time, though, eClipse are in position to punish. They get 1 shot into Dodoma. A couple other shots come off. No connection, though.
Nicely done. That's what you want to get with the early crossfire. And then on the side of Elevate, that's how you need to drive nice formation, create some cover for each other. And this will be an engagement that we don't often get to see this season, actually. We probably won't get to see many in this position quite like this. It's very difficult to actually make a reasonable engagement if you're Elevate on the backside of the hill, unless you know where T1 and EXO are. Once they're spotted, that might be the cue for Elevate to push south and take out Germ and Drawcap.
Right.
But
and Positive, you don't have to look at Positive. He's down at G6. Looks like he's getting in behind it. He might find Vetro, which that'll be an interesting one-on-one to pay attention to, because Positive, great medium tank player, but Vetro, he's arguably on another level.
Yeah, although he did seem to find him. So 140 spotted. Positive's going to back off, recognizing that there's some risk here. He's going to see a Bat Chat in that backfield. Do you see him? Over in the northwest? Who is that? That's Canadian Impact?
Yeah, it's Canadian Impact that's backing away right now.
He hits support. He's going to probably come in with Vetro and they'll take out Positive. What do you think?
So it looks like he's going to make the approach through the B line, a little bit of cover. That A7 position won't be able to spot him as he makes that approach in the low ground there. But what that signals to me, if he closes, which he's actually turning around and backing away.
Safe approach. Take the safe way. Or no, you might just be checking the backfield. Okay. Oh, they're wondering where the Bat Chats, EXO, and T1 are.
Yeah,
That's
making sure they hadn't gotten into the backfield.
Yeah, because if you see Positive all the way in that south position in the middle of the map, what you might suspect is, oh, well, I haven't seen the other Bat Chats yet. What if the 2 Bat Chats are over on the west side? What if they're trying to sneak into the backfield? Because if that happens and you're Elevate, well, that fight will not go your way if you don't find those Bat Chats soon enough and deal with them. Because where eClipse is right now, all their heavy tanks, yeah, it would be tricky.
Well, let's figure out if Wallhacks can figure out this tricky puzzle as they try to break this defense with 7 minutes left.
I can't really move right now.
I'll go back with Alex.
Can't Vetro just at least poke your...
I'm spotted here, Impact. There's something south. Something south.
Yeah, they could have rotated all their bats. That's a thing.
I got probably from Photo. That's Photo.
There he is.
We kill Germ now?
Watch out, I7's
Yeah, kill Germ.
Okay, I'm not watching the north anymore. I'm not watching the north. We're going for Germ.
Do you win that Impact?
Yeah. Make sure
okay, good.
The bats are coming. He's tracked. He's tracked.
I7's peeking all the way over.
Oh my god.
I have to kill. I have a shot on the kill.
I bounced a little.
Sorry.
2.
I'll be able to kill. I'll be able to kill.
They're all peeking. They're all peeking.
All peeking. Kill Germ, please.
I7.
Got him.
Kill 7x7.
Bats are 2.
We need to get away.
He's tracked.
Just back up. Just back up.
He's tracked.
Fox.
Bats are coming in. He might look
Bats
for
are
me.
coming in. We should look for the bats. They have full clips. T1 if we can.
He's gonna kill me.
In the open. EXO in the open. 113 in the open.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, get out of that position. Photos on the top.
We're in a good position right now.
Photo's tracked.
Watch out for this bat.
Vetro's farming.
Yeah, I'm shooting.
I go for T1.
I got him.
We can aggro.
Push over.
We've got
Oh, just go into the heavies. EXO is
We win.
Yeah,
we win.
It's over. We got it. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
I tried to make sure Germ was permanent.
So during that listening right there with Elevate as they clean this up right now, I heard one phrase said a couple of times, and it's one that you're familiar with, Fox.
Yeah, we were chatting about that once we heard it, because the only team that used to use that term was Nagatron's team way back when. I guess what do you want to what does everyone know them as? Like
Fulcrum and Fnatic.
Fulcrum, Fnatic. I mean, you got a few names to go around, but if you know that team, well, you'll know that was their standard. If you had the kill shot, you yelled Fox, which I believe is a term that comes from
the military.
Well, specifically, actually, air combat does not. You call Fox for
right.
It's a weird translation. They just adapted the term to be used in tanks.
Yep. And you have to remember, Dodo was on that old Fulcrum Fnatic team back in the day, so and I'm pretty sure that was the one we heard using it.
It's so ingrained in him, he can't not yell it.
Yeah, I know some people sometimes yell, I have kill. I'm trying to think of, there's a few other ones that I've heard used, but Fox is the one that I always remember from those stories back in the day.
Calling an IS-77 or just yelling 7777 as loud as you can.
Yeah, well, there's a little tanks player named Zevin, so for a second when he yelled Zevin, I was like, what?
No,
and I was like, this is IS-7. There we go.
I'm used to it being if there is only one of a tank, you can yell you can just start screaming the shorthand, and that just means focus on it.
Yep. So we got a little bit sidetracked because that was a 5-2 victory for Elevate, as they are going to make it their 5th win in a row, and it's going to extend about another month before these teams play again, before eClipse get another chance. But it's going to be a full year now since Elevate have lost to eClipse. So good stuff there. They started off a little bit slow. They had me a little bit worried there early on. A couple of great games on Proke by eClipse. However, once it got to Mines, completely different story.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I just want to bring in offline. We had 07 versus Top Tier. I'm told the score is now 0-2 favor Top Tier.
That is a little bit interesting. 07 looked pretty strong versus Dare.
Mm-hmm.
Provided they did lose, but they had a few games where they looked extremely solid. Top Tier definitely struggling. A few of their players still facing disciplinary action at the moment, so they're not available to play. So you have players that have never really played in that starting lineup for Top Tier, especially Sublime Banana and Jojo Jackie. And then Nits has been brought in as a roster change for Top Tier. So definitely something to keep an eye on going forward.
Excuse me, I misspoke. That was Teal Team 6. I should have been saying Top Tier for the Dare match.
Okay, there we go.
Me. Sorry, that was 07 Teal Team 6.
And it does look like it's a 1-to-1 though, with Top Tier and Dare Rising on Cliff's first map though. So
that is correct.
There we go. Okay.
So we're just bringing you those little updates as we can. But back to eClipse versus Elevate. That was your scoreline. I think you got it right. eClipse doesn't seem to be quite as ready.
I like a lot of what I saw out of eClipse, a lot of their setups, but I mentioned that it looked like Positive was on the struggle bus. And he is a fantastic player. He's played for Ding. He had some great games against both eClipse and Apex at the New York Rumble last November. So he undoubtedly has the player skill, but I think part of it is trying to gel with the new system. You have Germ in the team doing the main calling, and how he works with Dark God Zim, so it's a brand new dynamic that I think he's not used to, and arguably the meta in North America can be a little bit different from the European region as well, so maybe just struggling to adapt a little bit.
Well, maybe so. But Elevate, if I'm correct, they actually practice with a bunch of the EU and RU teams.
Yeah, well, very, very true. Elevate, they scrim regularly with those teams, especially Cosmic Crew, I know, has been one of their big scrim partners. So definitely another thing to keep an eye on. And this last battle, EXO on the losing team doing the top damage, 3,100 damage, 70 fantasy points. Canadian Impact, Vetro, and Ox all having really solid games. Ox, a fantastic heavy tank player, a map that doesn't normally feature too many heavy tanks, but he made it work.
That was a heavy brawl.
Yeah,
right in the middle.
Very true.
That's what's going to happen. That's just what you're going to get.
Yep, and the post-match stats, fantasy points-wise, Vetro 431 on the fantasy points, but Canadian Impact actually besting him, picking up 480. Ox, another solid 392. My fantasy picks coming through strong. Photo Finish, 300. Wallhack's actually having a very, very strong night. And on the back page here, players struggling a little bit. Drock, we started off very strong. eClipse, arguably because the rest of the team wasn't playing, wasn't really in the match. He wasn't really able to keep up that performance. Then, down Positive, Germ, and EXO all struggling to get in there.
Yeah, that was just unfortunate for EXO and Germ there. But let's go ahead and actually get Comps back on to tell us a little bit about that match. Comps, welcome back to the broadcast, sir, and congratulations on your victory. First things first, those 2 losses at the beginning. What was that? What was going on? Where was the team?
Well, Well, I mean, Proc was their map. They picked that. The first match, I mean, it was a mistake on our end. You know, it wasn't properly judged. And then the second match, it came down to RNG. I mean, that one was really close, and we had 2 guys that were Amarect. You know, that could have gone either way. So, but you know, congrats to them for beating us on that map.
Indeed. Okay. And then after that, you guys turned it around on Mines. Like, once Mines happened, it looked like you guys really clicked into position and had everything in order. Was there any what's responsible for that shift? Are you guys just that good at Mines?
Well, that was our first pick, so you know, we were ready for that map. We knew what we wanted to do, and we just executed like properly. So you know, I believe that was a clean sweep on both sides for that. So. Yeah.
Okay, and then the last map, Sand River, you know, a map that we haven't seen too much because it hasn't really been in League since, you know, over a year ago, and now we're seeing it back. But you guys already look quite at home on that map. Have you guys been practicing a lot on that, or is it just wallhacks having a lot of strats from back in the day, or what's that a combination of?
We've been practicing a lot of European and Russian teams on that map, so we're sort of getting like I guess more of like a Russian meta feel on it. And yeah, so far it's worked. I believe, you know. We won today, won yesterday versus, not yesterday, Tuesday versus Teal Team 6. So, you know, so far so good.
All right. Any final thoughts?
No. Hope you guys enjoyed the match, and I'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Thank you very much, Comps. All right, guys. Any final thoughts before we get ready for our next match?